My name is Kara and it's been a while. So a lot of you have been asking like where I've been, why I haven't been vlogging, why I've kind of been just a little bit disengaged more on my Instagram, and I decided to make this video to kind of explain where I've been and why I've been like kind of MIA. And honestly, it's because I'm pretty tired. In order to balance this influencing, so this is like designing, it's knitting, it's filming, it's posting, it's everything, I like to compartmentalize it and keep it separate from my personal life so that way it doesn't take over. A lot of respect to the influencers and posters that do share more of their personal life. It's just not for me. I really didn't want it to kind of creep into the relationship that I had with my friends and family. So I try to honestly box in all the time that I think about influencing into like the mornings, and then I refuse to open Instagram beyond like 11 a.m. just because that feels a lot healthier to not always be on my phone and always available, because I'm getting comments and DMs all the time. This isn't a brag, this is just me explaining why I take like mini breaks from Instagram all the time. I've been posting for 3 years, since like 2021. I guess it's like 2.5, but it's been pretty much nonstop since then, and knitting since then, and I'm tired. This is not to say that I'm going to quit influencing, it's just explaining why I've been kind of taking a little bit of a break from it. And I know that you, my lovely tens of followers, and whoever's interested might not have been that interested or might not have noticed it, but I just felt like it's been something that I've been unintentionally and sort of sneakily doing for myself these past few months, and maybe this year even. And I thought that I should kind of explain my actions, or just like I should explain like my lack of engagement, say. And it's exhausting being on Instagram all the time, and TikTok. TikTok I actually use more as an app just for like social media. Like there's a lot of I explore my TikTok feed for myself more than I do my Instagram feed, and that's because my Instagram feed has come purely for business. Like I don't even use my personal Instagram anymore because Instagram is just an app for work. It's not really for fun. People will have to tell me that somebody posted about being engaged or in a new relationship with somebody that we know, and I'd be like, what? And they'll be like, this was months ago, like, where have you been? And it's because I haven't been on the app at all. And that's because, like, when I post a reel or a post and it goes viral, I get stressed about not kind of capitalizing on that success and, like, that reach. And when I post something and it doesn't go viral, I get stressed about why it didn't go viral. It's a double-edged sword in that it's stressful either way. And just having that kind of pressure of needing to put out content so often, I took a step back. I used to post every day, and now I post every other day, sometimes every 3 days, and it has felt a lot healthier, and just not having to get on the app every single day has been great. I do feel bad because people will like tag me in their stories, and then I miss something and I go, oh, like that looks like a really cool knit, and I miss it. But it feels like the healthiest option to do it this way and not let it just take over all my time. Being an influencer is a double-edged sword because I'm extremely grateful for everybody who supported me in my patterns and just my journey, but I'm also feel the pressure of having to put out those patterns, and I do this to myself, definitely. It's mostly for myself, of just being like, this is what it's expected to do, and I think I set myself an unreasonable and an unsustainable pace of just designing and putting out content, so I'm trying to take a step back from that. And there have been times where I finish a new sweater and it'll be like a new design, and I'm scared to post it because I feel like people will ask me for patterns or tutorials, and I feel as though I don't want to grade it because it would be extremely difficult, and I don't feel confident that the pattern that I would write would be readable or manageable for other knitters. Or I feel like the design that I would want to make isn't gradable. Like it looks good in whatever size that I made, but that's because that's like how I chose to stitch. But like I wouldn't be able to make the same sweater in like an extra large or like a 3X with the same yarn and have the design still look comprehensible, to me at least, and like look the same as what I intended for the original piece. And yeah, like that's what I've been doing a lot. I've been exploring stitches and making sweaters, and I don't feel like I want to make the patterns for them, and so I haven't been showing them to people at all. They've just been kind of sitting in piles in my room, and that also doesn't feel healthy. I also think that I fell into the habit of just kind of constantly comparing myself to other designers and other knitters even. When I go onto my For You page or my Explore page on my Instagram, I'm just like blown away by all the knits that there are. And I love seeing it, but it's also really hard to like kind of not compare yourself to be like, oh, like why didn't I think of that? Or like, oh, I wish that I could knit that way, and to be that technical and have that small of yarn. And I spent some time on Reddit, and that was probably the unhealthiest like 24 hours that I've had in a while. Just like doom scrolling, reading kind of snarky posts about myself, and I think people are entitled to their frustrations and their opinions, but I also think that I shouldn't be reading so deeply into them, focusing on the delivery of them rather than trying to learn from them and just be like, that's a fair criticism, this is what I'll do in the future, and this is how I'm going to address that problem. I mean, in addition to just kind of the exhaustion, my life outside of knitting has gotten a lot busier. My job's been picking up. I got into a relationship. I am in New York. It's a city full of distraction and just other things to do. It definitely has its pitfalls and its other kind of trade-offs, but it is New York City, and I don't plan to live here forever, so I'm trying to enjoy it while I'm here. There are days when I can knit for like 5-6 hours straight, and maybe even weeks where I can do that if I'm super excited about something. And then now there are days where I don't knit at all. And this is just something that is normal. I'm not a student anymore. I definitely have at times a more flexible schedule because I have a 9-to-5 job, so I don't have to do homework after work, and that gives me just time to knit. But I also have friends in the city and I want to see them, and I just want to do other things. Like I've been getting super into movies. Obviously you can knit and watch movies, it's one of my favorite things to do, but I've also been having a lot of fun going to see movies in theaters, and all respect to people that can do it, but I simply cannot knit in the dark. And I would love to see like Dune Part 2 fully and immersively without having to be like, I dropped a stitch or something. And so just taking a step back from kind of that fatigue and explaining what I've been doing kind of as an influencer, I just want to explain my goals as a knitter as well. My goals for 2024, as late as they are, it's literally about to be March, but you know, at least it's the first third half of the year, is I just want to go through all my old patterns and start fixing old typos and just kind of adjusting it based on what I've learned as a designer and like what I picked up as a knitter. I know a lot of my patterns don't necessarily like use like neck shaping, and I know that's a criticism of them. That's a fair criticism of them, but I would also like to say that when I first started knitting, I didn't know how to do short rows. And I remember very distinctly trying to knit a pattern that used short rows. I mean, obviously, I looked up short rows before, I did practice watches, I thought I got the hang of it, and I remember trying to knit a sweater that used short rows, and it didn't work. I spent like 4 to 5 hours on the floor, don't know why I was knitting on the floor, I just was, just trying to get the pattern to work with the short rows, and it just really wasn't clicking for me, and it was super unintuitive. And I think that if I had let that be, and like let that say that criticism of like you have to have short rows or some sort of neck shaping in order to knit a sweater, I probably wouldn't have completed a single sweater. I think short rows can be really intimidating for new knitters, and even as a knitter who's super experienced now, I still find them very intimidating. I'm actually working on a sweater now that uses short rows, and I'm excited to show you guys what it looks like when I finish it. But do I have the confidence to like write a pattern with short rows? I don't know. I definitely have a beginner short row sweater pattern, the borderline sweater, but that was like the simplest version of that. And I wrote that pattern intentionally so that it could kind of demystify and show people how to do short rows. There's a ton of resources on the internet for how to do short rows, but I also think that it shouldn't be the reason why you don't start knitting. And I'm planning to kind of explore my old patterns and see what they look like with short rows. I definitely want to show the difference in how the fit is with it. Part of my goals for 2024 is to just go through and start writing like how to adjust this pattern this way, and just like posting them so that people can use them, those who've purchased my patterns in the past, and also those who are just curious or just whatever. People are always asking me questions, and I think that it's more useful for me to post in a public manner rather than just always answer the same DM. Yeah, and especially like as a visual learner and just somebody who wants to see like the side-by-side comparison, I think that would be super helpful for me. And if I had seen that like 2 years ago when I was first starting to knit, I would have found that very helpful. Another thing that I'm trying to do in 2024 is just like crafts, like move much slower and craft for fun more. There's always kind of a latent anxiety if I am knitting and it's not for a new pattern, or it's not one of my own patterns, it's from some sort of promotion, and that's taken a lot of the fun out of knitting for me. I still have a lot of fun designing new patterns and writing things and just kind of working with the challenge of how would I grade this. Like, I feel that I have a lot to learn still, and just having that pressure of always needing to design or push out things that I've already done stops me from doing that. And I want to break that cycle. Like, I want to become a better knitter. I've never knit a Fair Isle sweater, and that's also fine, but it's a technique that I want to master just so that I can be like, yeah, I've tried it. I don't necessarily like it, or I do like it, and it's just going to be my repertoire. Sorry, New York is a very noisy place. And there's all sorts of designers who I see and I think that's a really cool design. I love that. I really love the fit of it. I love the look of it. And I haven't been able to knit it because it feels like I should be working on my own things instead of trying out somebody else's patterns. So this hasn't been a great mindset for growth, obviously, and I'm trying to fix that. I've been saying for a long time that I want to learn how to crochet, and the problem with crocheting is that I don't have a way to write patterns for it because I don't feel confident enough in my ability to crochet because, first of all, I don't know how to crochet. I've never followed a pattern, and I want to change that. I recently bought yarn for the Persian tiles pattern because I saw it and I thought that it looked absolutely amazing, and I thought that it would be a really cool way to get into crochet. I've always been very scared to make a blanket for myself, and I've had all these plans to crochet a blanket because I think it'd be a great way to learn how to crochet and finally make a blanket. And I think that there still will be that kind of anxiety of like, I'm not posting this, I'm not filming it, like what am I doing if I'm not kind of recording it and using it for content in the future. And I think that the healthier balance here is just to honestly post more on YouTube and just share my journey of learning of that more. So I want to pick up a new craft, and I just want to be new at something for a change, and I want to be able to just follow patterns and not have to think about grading or how things will size up or not. Another thing I want to do is I want to go through old knits and unravel them. If I don't like the fit of them, if I don't like how they turned out, I just want to reclaim the yarn and just declutter. It feels like a really intimidating task to do because there's like, oh, well, you put so much effort and time into this knit, like how can you just unravel it? But I think it's okay to be like, if I don't wear it, if I don't like how it turned out, I should unravel it. And it's okay if I made mistakes, but it's also okay to kind of get rid of a project and not just keep it around if you're not going to wear it. But I feel like I'm coming to the end of my rant, my explanation, my soliloquy, is that how you say it? And I just kind of want to get back to knitting and creating, and whether that's for the camera or whether that's just for me, I'm gonna figure it out. I would love to continue to do like what I'm knitting vlogs. I just feel like there's also such a backlog of pieces that I just have never shown, and I might just have to just accept that you guys might not see it and just kind of start from where I am now. Like I can start by saying that this is a short rose pattern that I'm working on, and I know that there's other patterns that use basket weave stitch. I'm not entirely convinced that I'm going to write a pattern for this one. It might just be for myself. And also, I haven't necessarily seen one where that uses short rows like this one. And is it constructed in the same way? And it will have the same fit. So, we'll see. It's made in Wool and the Gang Little Crazy Sexy Wool and Cameo Rose. And I was pretty suspicious of Little Crazy Sexy Wool when I first got it, because I was like, oh, this is like Crazy Sexy Wool, but I was kind of nervous about the ply of it and that it would be too delicate. But I made my breeze block sweater a while back, and after I blocked it, I found that it was actually very durable. I gave it to my mom, and I made the matching sweater for her dog Lilo, and I think that they're wearing very well. My mom wears her sweaters like once a week maybe. So I am loving the stitch definition that the Little Crazy Sexy Wool gives, because I love chunky knits and I love textured knits, and I think that a bulky single ply yarn is really great for stitch definition and for like knits that work up pretty quickly. And I love the colors from Wool & the Gang, obviously. You guys know this. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back and I'll be doing back to my own thing. I'm going to try to set a reasonable expectation and pace for myself. And yeah, I'm sorry for the inconsistency, guys, but it's just kind of depending on life and what I'm doing at the time outside of knitting or what I'm working on as I knit, because if I'm constantly designing and just exploring and learning new things, I won't necessarily have time for like vlogging, but I guess we'll just see. But I just want to thank you all for your support and your patience with me. Yeah, thank you so much. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day and happy knitting. See ya.